business. Most businesses go out of business within the first year. And Frank has been in business over 30 years. Somebody say yes.
Yes.
And that's what we want more of. And so I said, who could I invite that not only has done millions of dollars in contracts, but somebody that's been in the game longer than me, that can tell us what it takes to outlast sometimes even your competition. So will you all do me a favor and give a warm welcome to Frank Kendrick. Come on, clap your hands for Frank. Come on. All right. We can do it however we want. All right.
Natural, right? Your hands just go up, right?
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michael. It is definitely an honor to be here. And, you know, he talked about the Gator 100 and he said, you know, we finished out at number 2, but he didn't tell you who was number 1 that year. And so he was number 1. And I remember when I went to UF and was meeting with some of the folk, they were telling me about his company, and I was like, who is this young brother? And so I got an opportunity to see him there at the Gator 100, and that was just, we connected then, but that was just a wonderful time. So anyway, I'm definitely glad to be here today to share some thoughts with you about building a sustainable business. As Michael mentioned, we've been in business over 30 years, 32 years actually. And it's been it's one of those things, as he mentioned, he talked about, you know, most businesses go out of business in the first, 7 years. Actually, it's the 7-year itch. You know, by that time, a lot of companies that start, they don't make it past that 7-year mark. And so if I look back and I say, well, what was it that allowed us to be able to withstand the test of time and be able to make it, through that period. And so I have to first start and say that, I heard someone say that if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, just know that they didn't get there by themselves. They got some help. So when we're a turtle on a fence post, we had some help. And the help that we had was God. And it didn't always start like that. Obviously, when we first started our business, I remember we stood around, my wife and myself and my son, and we prayed about starting the business and what we're going to do. And after about 3 years, we were seeking bankruptcy protection. And again, I've seen that happen with a lot of businesses. A lot of my friends who have started businesses and they've started real big and they've gone strong, and for some reason, things didn't work out, and then they were closing their doors. And in fact, I'm doing a study now on this idea of how the mighty fall, and wondering what is it that causes people to have major success, and all of a sudden they go into irrelevance, really. And we were in that position after about 3 years. We were, seeking bankruptcy protection. And I tell the story, again, I don't want to go into the whole story because I don't think that that's the moment, this moment. But I can tell you that we figured it out. We started with God, but somewhere or another, success, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a second. Success tend to, in some ways, it gives you this delusion that you're doing better than you actually are. And we were delusional. We were maxing out credit. We were trying to grow. And we had grown. We were doing well. We had all of the things that most people look and say, wow, they're doing good. But it was a house of cards. And eventually, the house of cards, I heard someone say, if you rob Peter to pay Paul, eventually Peter and Paul are going to show up at the same day, and they both going to want their money. And that's what happened. And so we had this moment, my wife and I. In fact, we were looking for, in addition to looking for bankruptcy protection, we were looking for a divorce court too. So, ain't no money in the house. Everybody looking at each other, it ain't good. And I remember taking the Bible, and I was there just in tears and just trying to figure it out. Took the Bible, didn't know exactly where to turn. I threw it on the ground, and eventually, something said, pick it up. I flipped it over, read, and it was on 2 Corinthians, the 9th chapter. And it talked about, he that gives seed to the sower will multiply the seed that you sow and increase the fruits of your righteousness. And that thing just really, I still have the Bible today, and I have in it written in it me, and I have a big arrow written to it there. And what that was saying to me was that it was talking about giving and being a sower. And everybody, any kind of farmer knows what it means to sow seed in anticipation of one day I'm going to get a harvest. We were not doing that. We were eating our seed. And that's a lot of things. That's one of the things that a lot of entrepreneurs do is you eat your seed. You wear your seed. You drive your seed. And that's what we were doing. And I remember, I had the Big Daddy Benz. I had the personalized Nujak on the back. Every car had Nujak on it. And, and I had those kind of things. And I was like, hey, I'm supposed to live like this. I'm supposed to have this. And there was a little bit of a arrogance to the success that we had, because we had some major success when we first started out. And I was driving my seed, but every time it came up to being able to either give back to God a portion of what he's given to me, or give back to the community a portion of what I received, I was coming up short. Then a little short. I wish I could. And so eventually that caught up, and so we got it right. We took. I tell a story. We had. All the money we had was $1,300. We had it under the bed. Couldn't put it in the bank. Anyway, but we ended up giving that $1,300 away, and that led to a kind of rippling effect that we've been living for the last 31 years. We've been living by those principles. Our company is just a company, 10% of revenue that we get, it's going to go back into the kingdom. That's just how it goes. Our CFO, accountant, they know, it's not even we just do it. It's not ours. We just do it, and we just move on. And so as a result of that, I've seen the most miraculous things have happened. I could tell you so many stories, miraculous stories, that it would just really make the hair stand up on the back of your head, of stories of just incredible profits, incredible strokes of favor, where you're just where again, all the work that you do in seeking out customers pales in comparison to the customers that are coming to you. And you ask, how did you hear about us? How did you know about us? And one client that we just got, which is a crazy client, but when they came to us, we said, hey, how did you hear about us? And they said, we already know about you. And they said, we've already researched you, and we just want to know, do you want to work with us? And we're just like, duh. And so they have just incredibly just run us over with projects. And I remember a time, and I just say this in humility, so hear my heart, but where we've literally said to ourselves and looked at each other, my wife and I just said, we're being run over by blessings. They're running us down. But that's the life of the faithful. That's just that. So anyway, I wanted to get that out there early. but when I think about being sustainable, everything begins with a vision, y'all. Like you can't, you gotta have a vision for what it is that you want in life and where you feel like, why do we have our business and what it is that why are we here? What are we in this community for? Why, do we have this skill set or whatever that is? You gotta have a vision and you gotta be able to write it down. That's a biblical. Again, one of the other things that I'm doing is I'm writing these articles about these little mini books on kingdom principles that are actually business principles. So this is one of those, is without vision, people perish. Without vision, companies perish. So having a vision, writing it down, specifically, what is our purpose? And again, I don't know how much time I have.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Just
until they start walking out.
Okay. yeah. But having a vision, writing it down, and that is like right up next to oxygen. And I'm amazed at the number of people that have a business or starting a business and have not written down exactly what their goals are. And those goals generally, people say, well, how far should I dream out? I say 10 years. Like right now, my wife and I are doing a 10-year plan because we're saying, okay, right now, the next 10 years, a lot's going to happen in our life. And so we're doing a 10-year plan. You say, man, I can't even think past tomorrow. How am I going to think 10 years? Well, who do you want to be? What do you want to have? And what do you want to be doing? To be doing half. Who do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? And what do you want to have? And write those things down. And then you come back and say, okay, this is where we are in 10 years. Where will we be in 3 years? Come back to your 3-year mark, and say, okay, this is what that looks like. And then talk about revenue. Now Jim Collins calls it the big, hairy, audacious goal. That means sometimes it's so big. I remember when we took our company on when we took them out of town, we took them down to Miami and we had a big planning retreat about that. And it was when we first developed our big BHAG, we call it the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And I remember, and every person, and I'm going to get back to that in a second too, but it was important that everybody saw themselves in that vision. So one of the things you don't do is when you bring people on board and you got people, nobody want to hear what kind of car you want to drive. They don't want to hear what kind of house you're going to have. They want to hear, what does this mean to me? And so what does it mean to this employee or this partner or this person that's coming on board? And they have to be able to see themselves in that vision so that they can work passionately for a business that is not theirs. They can be a part of it, but they see where this is leading them. Nobody wants to work 20, 30 years and retire from a business. And when you're putting over 50% of your lifetime into this business every day going to work, and all you're getting is a paycheck. They want to be able to do meaningful work, something for the community, something that's going to make them feel like they're part of something big. And so being able to let them participate in the development of your BHAG is very important. So it could just be somebody that's a friend or whatever, and I'll get to that in a second, but just, having them be a part of that. And so I remember when we wrote it out, and we were all sitting there. I remember we were sitting in the room and everybody was just like quiet. Everybody was looking. And somebody just raised their hands like, man, this is like going to another country or something. If we can walk. In other words, what we said is how will we know when we get there? Like y'all so are we there yet? Well, I forgot what it is. Iced tea in it, but anyway. But it's like, are we there yet? How will we know when we've arrived? What does it look like? What does it look like for you when you've got it there? What does it look like for you when you say, yep, we made it here? And everybody gets to write down what does that look like. And then we weaved all that in together and we created a story. And so we were all sitting there, and somebody said, man, it's like going to another country. And then somebody said, I know it's like going to Hong Kong or something. And I said, that's it. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it, we're going to Hong Kong. And so we introduced this language into our business, and we had all of these images and pictures in our office of words, our core values and things, but we had them in whatever language that is. You go to Hong Kong, anyway, Mandarin. Okay, we had it in Mandarin. Our marketing guy put it in Mandarin. And nobody knew what it meant, but I mean, it had the word on the bottom of it. But anyway, my point is, we introduced language. And so when we say, hey, we're going to Hong Kong. Like, what are you doing? We're going to, this ain't going to get us to Hong Kong. And they're like, you're right. And so that was the language. And so we've done that twice, where we've recrafted that 10-year plan again to talk about what that looks like. So anyway, then you come back 3 years and you say, well, what does it look like in 3 years? What's the revenue? What kind of revenue? How many employees? How many offices? What are we doing? A snapshot of our BHAG is we're so indelibly connected to the community that the community cannot imagine life without us. So that means that we're letting you go, and we're going to help employees that you go and volunteer at United Way or go and volunteer at Big Brothers program or whatever. Like, that's a part of our BHAG. So when you're going out and volunteering in the community, we're letting you go because that's a part of being so indelibly connected to the community. So anyway, what does that look like? And if your business closes and it don't mean nothing to the community, then it didn't mean like you didn't do nothing for the community. Like it didn't, like what you do. So it's being connected to the community where you're serving within the community and you're being a true asset in the community. So anyway, that's 3 years. And then you come back to 1 year. So everybody got to have a 1 year. And you come back to your 1 year and say, okay, what is our revenue goal for this year? Now, consistently every year, we do that. We recraft our 1 year, we look at our 3 year, and we just take a peek at our 10 year. We don't usually mess with it too much, but we just take a peek at it to remind us where we're going. But we do look at our 1 year every year, and we do look at our 3 year. So your 1 year is, what are our revenue goals? What are our, how many employees you want to have? What type of projects are we doing? What are we doing in the community? So like starting a scholarship, we want to help give back. So we want to start a scholarship program for, at-risk youth. What is meaningful to us? So those are the kind of things. So now every penny that we make, we're going to take, $10 out of every dollar. We're going to take $5 and we're going to put it in a scholarship fund that we're going to reinvest and give scholarships, or we're going to help, or whatever that is, whatever that meaningful work is, you want to be able, because it can't be just about you. It can't just be like, I just want to make money and that's all. Like, I just want to have a nice car and that's it. Like, it's got to be greater than that. So you do that 1 year goal, and then you come back and you say, okay, if this is our 1 year goal, what are the big rocks? What are the big rocks that we have to definitely hit? So I'll use this as an example. Stephen Covey is the one that originated this idea of rocks. But if I had a jar here and I took a bunch and I filled it up with sand, okay, and then I tried to put 5 big rocks in it, chances are I won't be able to get the rocks in there because it's full of sand. Well, that represents the busy work that we do in our life. Most of us spend most of our time on sand, doing a lot of stuff for a lot, just all over the place, just like you're just going crazy with stupid stuff, just doing stuff, and you're busy and you're tired and you're worn out and you're doing all kinds of stuff that's not moving you any closer to your goals. You have to be able to look at your 1 year goals and say, what are the top 4 things? Well, if I'm a solopreneur, so I can't know if I can deal with 4 things. Okay, well, what is the top 1 thing? If you don't do nothing else by the end of this year, what's the one thing that you can do that's definitely positively going to catapult you closer to your goal? Well, I might need to go back to school. Well, I may need to go and do this. I may need to do it. Whatever that is, that becomes a big rock. And you put those big rocks down. These are the 4 big rocks that we're going to have. And then you look at those big rocks and you say, okay, for the first quarter, because guess what? The year is separated out in quarters. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So you said, okay, the first quarter, what of those rocks are we going to accomplish? And that becomes a priority. So priorities are what we do. Everything else is just talk. You can say you want this. You can say I want to do this. I will say it, but I can see what you want by where you're spending your time. I don't care who you are. You only get 24 hours a day. The most wealthiest people in the world, they get 24. It's like I told my wife, I said, I'm going to get a shirt that just says 24. Because that means something. Because it's the great equalizer. Don't nobody get a pet. No Oprah, nobody. Bill Gates, nobody has greater than 24. Everybody gets 24. Well, why are they massively successful? And we can't rub 2 nickels together. Because they're 24, they do something different with their 24 than you do with your 24. So the key is being intentional with your 24. Like, I got to make my 24 count. And I can't afford to spend my 24 on sand. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be tired 5 years, 10 years from now. I'm going to wear myself out. And I'm look back and I'm say, I ain't did nothing. You know, I'm not even any closer to my goal than I was when I started, but I'm tired as all get out. So you have to figure out, and that's just by prioritizing your time. Prioritizing. So part of that, and I'll get very granular here, is literally your day. How often are you planning your day? Now, I plan my day every day. I plan my day when I finish for the day, I've already planned the next day. I know and I already know what the number one thing that I want to get accomplished for that. Everything else is busy work. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, hey, I want you to do this, guess what? That ain't a priority for me today. It might be a priority. I'm going to put that in the basket. I might get to that, but if nothing else, I'm going to get to this one thing. Because this one thing is going to be differentiated between my business being sustainable or my business being, irrelevant. So writing those things down, those big rocks. So then, now, that's development of a plan. But a plan don't mean nothing if it ain't executed.
Oh, Lord. Nah, I didn't tell them, y'all. I didn't tell them.
Yeah, plan don't mean nothing if you don't execute it. And that is the differentiator, because there's a lot of people that have great plans. I plan to do this, I plan to do that, I plan to do that. But if you ain't doing it, then that's just foolishness. So execution is the key. And I want to go back to this one thing, because a lot of, when we started our business, it was just me. And my wife was working another job. But I had a guy who was a carpenter. In fact, he came to Polk County with me from Sarasota. We had just built an apartment complex there, and we came to Polk County to start a construction company. And he was clearly gifted with his hands. So he was the guy that could actually do the work. I was the guy that was going to take care of, the paperwork and the books. Nothing great is accomplished alone. And I've seen too many people try to go solo, like, I got this, I'm going to do this. And what happens is we try and hold on to everything ourselves. We're like, no, I ain't sharing nothing. I got this. You have to open up your hand, and you have to be liberal, and you have to share, and you have to, nowadays more than ever, this message is even greater. Like, partnerships are like, that's it. That's the way to do it. where this person, you're skilled at this, I'm skilled at this. We ain't got to have no company together forever. But how about you do this and I do this, and we work together as a team, and the profits that come in, you get a third, I get a third, and and that was the methodology that we did, me and the guy that started the business with us. Is every project that came in, he got a third, I got a third, and the company got a third. And that was how we built the money in the company. So my point is, like, find someone like your company. I'm going to go back and say this too. It's crazy, but the dynamic of our company has changed dramatically. And I'm going to tell you this. One of the reasons why the dynamics of our company has changed is we used to be limited by how many people lived within the city that we live in, that we could hire, and they could come in that office every day, and they could work the 8 hours, and I could work, and that was it. We now have more employees that are outsourcers and freelancers than we actually have physical employees through partnerships. So now we're not limited to who moves into our zip code, or me moving somebody from Chicago to come and to work for me in Lakeland. No, you can stay right there. You can stay right there in Chicago. But we can hire the best of the best. And I don't have to pay you for 8 hours. I pay you for what you do. Do y'all get that? Now, we can boast that we have the best of the best, and we can prove it by what we present to you and what we give you. Like, I can't tell you how many times clients are like, this is amazing. Like, how can you have a schedule for every job that's always updated? Oh, because we have one person, that's all they do. They go through all the data reports and they update the schedule every day. But that's all they do. That's their job. And they stay out there. I don't even know where they live. They don't even know where they live. But that schedule is updated. And I'm only paying them. I'm not paying them by the week. I don't have no big monthly burn with them. I'm paying them how many schedules they produce. And I'm paying them X amount of dollars for a schedule. But they're experts at scheduling. For them, schedule don't mean nothing. I could do a schedule in 10 minutes. And if you give me access to your data reports, I can give you a schedule. Estimating. We used to have 7 estimators in there. And they was losing jobs. I mean, I was burning a lot of money going through estimating. And all these people in there, and it's like, we're high, we're like, oh, next time. And and I'm looking at it, I'm like, we're spending a lot of money on these estimates. That's right. I was like, wait a minute. It's companies out there, that's all they do. So our estimating department, we got 34 people in the estimating department. They don't work for me. They're an estimating company. That's all they do. All I have to do is, this is all I'm going to pay you for an estimate. That's it. And I'll give you a bonus if we get it, but I'm going to take away if we lose money on it. We got a deal. But you're going to get steady flow, because without estimating, we can't be in business. You get my point? So I could go on, and I can really unpack that for you. But this same principle, we've helped other businesses understand that, why you got to have all that overhead? Now, one of the things that we did, and my son, he's our CFO now, but he helped me see that, was, why do we need this office? That one was rough. Because I said, we got to have an office, physical office. He said, why? He said, you said all the millennials are the ones that are killing it, right? Because we have a shared to-do also. So I can see what other people are doing on their to-do list, because everybody shares a to-do list. So I can see what they're doing. And I was commenting all the time in our company meeting that the millennials are killing it. But they were taking advantage of the one day that they can work remote. Like on remote, they was gone. They're not there. And so then they kept pressing and saying, well, why we got this? And so we eventually ended up saying, okay, after several iterations, we just said, okay, you can work remote. Bottom line is long, because I always say, I even say it now, like if I got to ask how many hours you work, there's a problem. Because I feel like we're being cheated. Like if I got to say what time you got here this morning, that's a problem. Because that means I feel like I'm getting shortchanged. But if you getting your work done, I ain't going to ask you how many hours you put in. I don't even know what time you did it. You could have did it at midnight. I don't even care as long as you get the work done. That's what's important.
Yeah.
And so we ended up saying, okay, you can work wherever, whenever. And Dr. Anumbe came by the office from UF, building construction. He came by, had lunch, and he said, where is everybody? I said, man, let me tell you. We put this remote policy in that people, you can work from remotely, and everybody started working remotely. Now we got this big office building, ain't nobody in there working. And I said, and now they're trying to push me to go remote, like 100%, like close the office door. I'm like, that's crazy. And he sat back and he said, I know one other construction company. He said they have 75 employees and no physical plant. I said, impossible. And he said, I'll give you their number. And me and that guy talked almost 2 hours on the phone. I was like, how do you create culture? How do you hire people? How do you have company meetings? What about your clients? Like, what about, like, people who think you're out of business? Like, and all this, whatever. And then pretty soon I was like, after I hung on the phone, I was like, that's crazy. So 3 months later, we moved out of our office building. We leased the office. So that was new money that we weren't getting. Now we got more money because we're not paying rent. We ain't paying utilities. We ain't paying insurance. And everybody working from the house. And we did that before COVID. That was in 2019. So when COVID came, we was like, oh, okay. We are home anyway. My point is it's disruptive thinking. It's recognizing the trend of what's happening now, and you can do more with less. Mm-hmm. You can be a small company with huge presence. You don't have to even be, you can do work nationally, right from where you are. You can get salespeople in other states, which is what we have. We got salesmen in 5 different states. They get paid for what they produce. If you produce, you eat. If you don't produce, I don't have to pay you. I ain't giving you no check when you ain't working. Does that make sense? And it's pay for what you're doing. Like what you bring in, you get. But if you ain't bringing it in, you don't get nothing. Does that make sense? So our company has gotten smaller, but yet we've gotten larger. Our new tagline is, when people say, well, aren't y'all out of Polk-County? I said, well, actually, we are wherever we need to be. That's our new tagline. We are wherever we need to be. And so we got another client that reached out to us. So that was one client that got to us. And I don't want to drop, because I know this is going to be all over the internet or wherever you go. But we had another client that came to us, and they're a humongous client. And they came to us out of the blue again. And, out of the blue, and they said, well, we got projects in this state, blah, 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 blah. They said, you guys can't do that. I said, we're wherever we need to be. So wherever you need, we service the client. So wherever you need us to be, that's where we're going to go. And they said, well, how are you going to be able to get there? I said, give us the opportunity and you'll see. And so that's what I'm saying is now you can be a lot larger than, the small company with big presence. So anyway, I talked about the big rocks. You also have to have a culture of accountability. So you got to hold people accountable. If people are not producing, we have another saying. If it's me or you, it's got to be you. It can't be me. People say that. It's language within the company. They say, you already know, Franklin's like, if it's you or him, it's going to be you. It ain't going to be him. Because if you're not doing your job, you heard me say we have a shared to-do list. That means everybody's working on their to-dos, and I can see their to-dos. I can see, and we have a weekly meeting every week. So we have a meeting company-wide every week, and we got people all over. But guess what? We got Zoom. So we're there. It's creating culture. Everybody laughing, we joking, we talking, but we working through. And if somebody's not doing their stuff, they're gonna get called out. So Thursday night, you see a lot of ping, 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 ping. People are getting stuff done because they know they don't want to get called out in the meeting. Because I'm gonna call them out, and there'll be moments of silence where I'll say, "Tell me again what was more important than this?" Now everybody's there, and he said, "Well, see what happened? No. What was more important than this? Like this was the most important thing that you had to do, and you didn't do it. And so now, as a result, all of us have to pay for that." All it takes is a couple of people being called out. And now, one thing I don't do is I don't yell. We don't yell. So I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to make you feel less than a man or less than a woman. I'm not going to make a personal attack. None of that. I'm not yelling. I'm not screaming. I'm just asking a question. What was more important than that? And as a result, all of us have to pay because you didn't do it. So you have to have a culture of accountability. You have to hold people accountable. People will continue to not do what they're supposed to do if there's no consequences. Ain't no consequences? I got away with it last. I'll do it again. Ain't no big deal. So you have to make an example out of some people. You have to do that. So having a culture of accountability, executing the plan. If there's a big rock, and it's a big rock, it's one of the most important things we got to do. You got to work through those big rocks, and then you have to have a system of where we're meeting to come together. So I said we meet weekly. So we have our company-wide meeting every other week, and then we have our senior leadership meeting those other weeks. So either way, we're meeting. So, again, and all we're doing is we just want to know what you're doing. Now, here's another thing. I used to take notes. So part of the issue, I'm like typing and I'm talking, I'm typing, I'm talking, I'm like, typing, talking. And man, AI is crazy. Y'all hear me? Like that's a game changer. And they got this AI now that attends your meetings. There's a bunch of them out there now. It's funny, we laugh now. We be like, Jordan's bot got here before he did. Jordan bot got to the meeting on time. Because them bots, they gonna get to the meeting on time. All they're doing is combing your calendar, and I was in a meeting today with one of our partners on a project we're doing, and he was like, he said, there's somebody in the meeting called Reed. I said, that's my bot. That's my assistant. And he said, oh, okay. But that bot is listening to everything that is saying and typing it. And then at the end of the meeting, the bot summarizes the meeting in a big summary, and then it's everything that it's a to-do, it creates a to-do. And then if it's a recurring meeting, the day before the next meeting, y'all meet again, the bot says, here's your preparation notes for the meeting tomorrow, and these are the things that were supposed to be done. So thank you. Wow. I ain't gonna type no more. So I get these items, and so then that's where the meetings don't have to last forever. I just come and say, okay, this is what you say you're gonna do. What'd you do? Okay, you say you're gonna do this. What'd you do? You say you're gonna do this. What'd you do? That's it. We're just going through those items. But again, it's a culture of accountability. And we're focusing on the most important things that we got to be doing today. That's moving your organization forward. So we have a sales meeting where we're specifically talking about who's in the pipeline and here's the other thing, what type of client is our ideal client? If you don't know which type of client is your ideal client, then you need to figure that out. I tell people, hey, if you know someone that's looking to do this, that's a perfect client for us. So knowing what that ideal client looks like, and then pipeline. The other thing that we learned the hard way is spending a lot of resources trying to get in front of a client that ain't got no money.
Oh, come on.
We did that. Got a t-shirt, got a couple trophies. I mean, we spent some time and energy and got in front of clients and like trying to get past the gatekeeper and doing all that. And then you finally get in there and you talking and then say, well, tell me, hey, what y'all looking to be doing over the next few years? I said, we don't have any money right now, but we'll probably be looking to do something. And I'm like, wait a minute, why did we do this? So part of what we do is we do market research. We hire people to come in to our annual meeting and tell us who gonna have the money moving forward. Tell us from an environmental standpoint. I remember in healthcare, that's what made us get into healthcare. When the Obamacare, Accountable Care Organization, all that, the consultant came in and they said, hey, if y'all want to do something, start getting into healthcare. It was like, okay, what do we need to do? Let's put some big rocks around it. And we had a trainer come in, train all of our people. We got certified. All of our people got certified in healthcare. And we were able to go and market. And then we got approved with 5 different hospital associations. How did we get approved to 5? Because it was strategic. We identified this is who we want to work for. We had a sales meeting and we're tracking, what did you do? How did you get in front of this person? The other thing, and I'll give you a little secret. When you get in front of people, most of the time when I have my first visit with people, this is what I'm doing. I'm looking around the room. Not that conspicuous, but I'm looking around, just paying attention to things. Because I'm trying to figure out, what is this person like? And guess what we do? We give them back what they like. Like I just had a meeting with a potential client last week. So I'm looking around her office and I noticed that she's a techie. She's got 2 computer screens, but she's got this, her laptop sitting in this like corner over here. And I noticed that she kept going to her laptop and it was awkward when she was doing that. And I said, you know what she needs? She needs one of those stands that allows that laptop to be lifted up so that it's at the same level as her other stuff, that she don't have to do that. So while we were talking, I actually went on Amazon right then while we were talking, and I was talking to her, kind of multitasking, and found it and ordered it. So all of a sudden, when the person gets it, they said, how did you know? And there's something about a client, when you do something for people, psychologically, they feel like they owe you something. It's proven, you can Google it. They feel like they owe you something when you give them a gift. And you're like, and it's a meaningful gift. It's something that, it ain't just no gift that you just sent a gift, but it's something meaningful. You give them that gift and they feel like they owe you something. And now when you call and you say, hey, tell them Frank with Nujak is on the line. And they'll say, hold on, she's busy right now in the meeting. Oh, she said she'll let you through. Imagine that. Right? So anyway, that was just a little, just a little tidbit. But anyway, going through your big rocks, culture of accountability, vision, writing the vision, the big, hairy, audacious goal, and I don't know what else I could talk about, Michael. I kind of talked through those things. Celebrating success, celebrating wins, you have to first identify what a win looks like so you can celebrate it. But people want celebration. So you should pause to celebrate when we've done something well and celebrate. People want to celebrate. And so we'll do all kinds of stuff, to celebrate the team's successes. Also, I think I may have said this. I think I said this when we had our podcast, but I think it's worth repeating. So in this one this is part of I talked about having these principles that are based on God's word that actually are relevant principles for life. But one of those principles, it came from Matthew, the 25th chapter, and it talked about the parable of the talents. And it talked about 5 talent, 2 talent, and 1 talent. So that's also language that we have within our company. In fact, we have an annual company award called the 5 Talent Award. And it's a coveted award. It's like, who's going to get the 5 Talent Award this year? But the 5 talent people are people who all they have to do is see a need. That's it. And they're going to do it. Like, they don't have to be told. They don't have to be celebrated. They don't have to be patted on the back. In fact, you might have to stop a 5 talent, but you won't have to start them. You might have to say, hey, wait, no, that's good idea, but don't do that. 5 talent. 2 talent people, if it's a line, they're going to come right up to it. They're not going to step over it because, I got a life, I can't, everything ain't, or you didn't hire me for that. There are people that they know the rules, they know the rules of the organization, they know the HR policy, they're going to get there every day at the same time. Lunch break, they're going to leave on lunch break. They at 3:30, don't even look for them. They're gone. Yeah, 2:29, they're going to give you 2:30, but they might start winding up on your time, right? Yeah, so that by the time 3:30 hit, they're gone. They're, in the parable, they're good and faithful servant. They're good and faithful. You need those. They're the people, like if you had a bicycle, they're the people that are moving the pedals. The 5 talent people are the people that are the handlebars that are steering the direction of the organization. The 1 talent, those are the people that are holding the organization back. Those are the people who they're gonna talk about you behind your back. You already know that. Yeah, so you see Michael making all that money. You see that? When the last time he gave out bonuses? That kind of stuff. They're gonna be talking behind your back, and they're going to make everything about you. If you read the story, the first thing the guy said is, he said, see, I was afraid. He said, because I knew that you are hard man, and you like to sow where you don't reap, and you like to gather where you don't strong, and because of you, I'm like this. Now, it's your problem why I can't do my job. You 1 talent. They're always going to be full of excuses, and it's always somebody else did it. Like, it's like, anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but yeah. But 1 talent, 2 talent, and 5 talent. So the key is you got to develop more 5 talent. You can put a 2 talent with a 5 talent, and you can make that 2 talent a 5 talent. One of the guy, I can say it even if he sees it because he knows it. But he was a 2 talent. And we know he's a 2 talent. That was the other thing, is having a cultural differentiation. Some people like to make everybody get a trophy. That's the thing that, like in sports now, everybody get a trophy. Everybody don't get no trophy. Watch this, y'all. Everybody don't get bonuses. That's our culture. Because if you 2 talent, we paid you for what you did. You got paid, and you did you left at 3:30. You did right, came right up to the line. You did what we paid you to do. 1 talent definitely ain't getting no bonus. You lucky to have a job. In fact, we're tolerating you. Yeah, we're tolerating you because, and the first chance we get, you gone. 5 talents get the bonuses. And everybody in our company knows who the 5 talent people are. It's a culture of differentiation. And so what happens when they see that the 5 talents, in fact, the idea with the 5 talent, they say they get to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm, they do. I'm going to ask them, if they want to take a day off, just take a day off. They want to take a vacation, take a vacation. Whatever you got to do it. Just, yeah. That's 5 talent. 2 talent, no, you putting your request in. 2 days, you get 10 days. You get, that's 2 talent. So when you reach the level of 5 talent, you get the privilege of being able to do what you want to do in a sense. But the idea is having an army of entrepreneurs. Because you want everybody acting independently for their own best interests as well for the interests of the company. And when they're doing, they'll say, hey, I bought this. 5 talent people do all kinds of wonderful stuff, like crazy, just good stuff. Like they'll just say, hey, I saw this. I think the company needs this. I used the company credit card to buy this, and I gave this to the client. It's like, okay, no big deal. That's 5 talent, 2 talent. So anyway, you can put a 2 talent with a 5 talent, and you can bring that 2 talent up. If you put a 1 talent with a 5 talent, you're going to drive that 5 talent crazy. 5 talents cannot deal with 1 talent people. They just can't. And so you don't team them up. You can put a 1 talent with a 2 talent, but 2 talent's got to be a strong 2 talent to be able to pull a 1 talent up. If they're shaky, that 2 talent will go down to 1 talent. So that's just understanding the people. But again, those people they ain't got to be employees. These could be freelancers. But you got to know, okay, he's a 5 talent. Okay, that's a 2 talent person. Does that make sense? Okay. So I talked about celebrations. I talked about that. I don't know what else to talk about.
Well, Frank, tell us, I do have a question.
Yeah.
So Scott Moss with Moss Construction yesterday.
Yeah.
He talked to us and he basically says he hires the best talent. We're looking around.
Yeah, Scott Moss.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
See there? They don't even know what they had, did they?
Oh my gosh. I wish I would have been here. I can look at them chip me. Are y'all kidding me? Wow.
We'll pay them a special visit.
Okay. Yes. Wow.
So he said we hired the best talent. And most of us can say we can't always compete to hire the best talent, especially when we're competing with companies like his.
Yeah, right.
So what are some strategies maybe or some things you've done to get the best talent that you could get?
Yeah. So we're going through that process right now. Like we have 2 positions that we're interviewing for. And we've got 1 person that really is like incredible talent. And she already has gotten some offers that financially, like I already let them know, like you're not going to get that here, but where you can get it, you can get it through bonuses. And I told her about the 5 talent. I said 5 talents get bonuses, and it takes them up higher than what that is. But so kind of kill what you eat what you kill. But what I told her is the culture. I just talked about the culture. And I said, and she is already, in fact, I called her on the way here. She's already talked about that I think I really want to work for your company because of the culture. Because, and again, I could go on and on about some of the things that she talked about with the culture, but when we hire, we have a very stringent hiring, the way we take people. Everybody that gets, I know this ain't what you asked for, but I'm kind of throwing it out, but everybody that's in queue to get hired, we do a DISC profile on them. And they have to take this DISC, and the DISC talks about what kind of D, I, S, or C type of person they are. And we write the description of the type of person that we want in the job before we go and seat, so that when they show up, we know that that's them. Does that make sense? Because I'm gonna use an example, but I'm just gonna say it. So if I need a person that's gonna be doing a lot of paperwork, why would I hire someone characteristically that's not a detail-oriented person that likes to do paperwork? You heard that. See, she said it. She said no eyes, and she's right. So eyes are the people that will come in and they'll brighten the room up. They're going to lighten the room up, and they're great for selling. They're great for relationships, but they're horrible when it comes down to getting them to do tedious paperwork and detail. So I could have this person come in and they're so bright and they're talking and all this, and I'm interviewing. I'm like, I like you and you like me, and I'm gonna hire you for this position. And they'll, at the time, they'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. And you just, they'll say that, and you just made a terrible mistake.
Horrible
mistake. So when we're looking for a C, we're going to hire a C level person. We're looking for a D. D are people who look at the bigger picture. They're good with vision. They know where they're going. Superintendents who blah, blah, blah. You want a D, C, that kind of stuff, hiring that. So anyway, that's part of what we do. But I think for us, it's just the way in which we hire, and it's the culture that we provide. Because I said this earlier, that I don't know that I said it like this, but most people don't just select a place to work specifically for the dollars.
Right.
Like, especially the Gen Zs now. Like Gen Zs, we need to know what are you doing to give back? What are you doing? Gen Zs are, they're interested in causes, and what are you doing here? And what is your company doing that? And all that kind of stuff, and all the other stuff. So anyway, but it's not based on money. So
solely on money.
Solely on money. So having the right culture is very important. They always say culture trumps strategy. Isn't it amazing? They say culture eats strategy for lunch. I'm like, wow, but it does. Culture is very important. So.
Awesome. Go ahead.
How long did it take you to develop that culture?
Yeah, so part of the issue is authenticity is very important. So it's hard to sell who you are not. So you have to, even in the Bible, there's a be, do, and have literally in Genesis 1. You have to first be it. You have to first become it first before you can do it. You have to do it before you're going to have it, right? You can't have something that you ain't did to get, so you got to, before you like, oh, I got it. Well, you had to do something first. Okay, but before you did it, you had to be it. Otherwise, you couldn't do it right. You could do it, but it's nothing like doing it authentically. So you have to first be it. And the hardest person, the biggest enemy, the biggest obstacle that you're ever going to encounter, drum roll, is you. You're the biggest obstacle, or you're the biggest asset? It's the hardest employee you're going to manage is you. Like, how am I going to just get myself to get up in the morning and to do the things that I need to do today? And when you can get to that place where you can manage you well, then it's very easy for that to become culture, because most of the time your culture mirrors who you are. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm saying go ahead. You just.
How does it look when you have a remote team? In terms of accountability, you mentioned like the shared to do. Is there anything other practices?
Yeah, so part of remote people and even freelance people is this our show, it's our system. So great companies have two great things: great people and great systems. So you got to have great systems. First, you got to find the best of the best, and then you got to have the system for the best of the best. Like I talk about
that. Unpack the systems piece. Because sometimes it's broad.
Yeah.
Like what does that look and feel like?
Yeah. So part of that system is us going to be accountable. So I know you freelancing, but I know you get paid for what you do, but you're going to come and be a part of this meeting, and I'm not going to pay you for it. You're not going to get paid to come and sit in a meeting where I'm asking you, where I'm laying out what you're doing next. Because in my day, I've got a week, 4 other days that I'm really focusing on stuff I got to do. And so this is the time that I've got allocated to tell you what to do. And you're going to be in here because I'm not going to be telling you this for other 4 other days. Now you taking me and brought me into your system instead of me bringing you into mine. Does that make sense? So part of that is making them come into your system, and you say, on Mondays at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a meeting. And we're going to go over what we've said we were going to do, what we did, and then what do we need to do next. Part of that. So it's that culture of accountability. That's one of them. And then systems, software. Software is everything. So we make people use our software. So we'll send them. In fact, I do training videos. One of the other things, this is another good one. Anything that you're doing repetitively, record it. Anything that you're doing literally right now in growing your business or doing anything, take a few seconds. You ain't got, it's real easy because this is how I do my videos. Like, I will create a Zoom, and ain't nobody in the Zoom but me. And I hit record on the Zoom, and I'll say, this is a how-to video of whatever. If I need to share my screen so that they can see what I'm doing. And now I'm just doing something that was already a task that I had to do. I'm just recording while I'm doing it. So I'm recording it, I'm working, and I'm talking through what I'm doing. So now, after I finish, Zoom will email you that video. I take that video, download it, and I name it, whatever it is, how to do this, how to do that, and I record it in Dropbox. So when a new person comes in, I'm not going to be spending all my time training you. I'm going to give you access to the resource library, and in it, it has, you need to watch video 5, 8, and 12. And I send you the link, and now you do that, and now I'm expecting you to operate in it. I created my own training video. About what they do. Or what they do. Yeah. I don't have to, like I said, I'm not going to come back and say how many hours you work or what time you got here. I can tell that you did it by when I give you this assignment. You can't do that assignment if you didn't watch the video. Yeah. So that's how I bring outsiders, freelancers, remote work people into my system. If the moment that you being pulled into their system, you done lost control. You're in trouble now. Because now that's going to make you dysfunctional. Because you all over the place. Everybody got their own thing, and you doing this person, he don't like to do that way. So now you got to follow him, and then somebody else, now you got to follow them. You're not, us not doing that. Does it make sense? Yeah.
What's the name of the AI?
So there's one called Otter, but I use Read, R-E-A-D.
Yeah, Otter is O-T-T-E-R. O-T-T-E-R.
I'm telling you, the day is going to come. The day is going to come. R-E-A-D. Yeah, Read. Yeah.
There's
Otter, O-T-T-E-R. There's a lot of them, yeah.
Zoom has one now.
Yeah, Zoom has, yeah.
As well.
It's going to come to the point where when there's a Zoom meeting, you're going to see all of these bots, all these little robot bots standing in line to come in there. Pretty soon the robot's going to be meeting, It's going to be like that, really. It's going to be like that. if I don't attend a meeting or something, my bot was there.
Yeah.
My bot be at meetings I don't even go to.
Yeah.
One of our salesperson had a meeting the other day, and they had and I called. I said, "Hey, y'all didn't talk about nothing about the what we supposed to be talking about. Y'all was talking about your mama and all this other." She's like, "Oh, I forgot you be getting the
Them bots, we don't
that body be what you say? I'm telling this. Oh, let's go."
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's not expensive.
I think there's a free version.
Yep.
And you should work the free version until you figure out that you like it. Because almost all of them got free version. In fact, if it's a new technology and they don't have a free version, I ain't gonna do it. Because I gotta first at least check you out. So you gotta give me a free version first. And then after that is, you
Yeah,
pay.
most of them are like maybe $15-$20 a month for those. Another software, he did Zoom. I use Loom, Loom, to do all of my recording. So for this business with you all, for when we send it out, my wife said, "Baby, well, how you did that in culture?" I said, "Go watch the Loom."
There you go.
or our VA or whoever I'm sending it to. So it's the same thing. It will also video record you, also screen share and transcribe.
Yes.
So not only will you have the video, but you can also print out a written document of how it's done. So if you want, your SOP is already done.
That's right. That's good.
You ever use the bot thing, the OAC meeting?
Owners meeting.
Oh, yes.
On architects.
Yeah.
Contract meeting?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I have to, some of them I have to let them know.
Yeah,
Like
it's been
I have to
recorded.
let them know, hey, by the way, I use Read, which is a bot, and they're doing it. Yeah, they're fine with it. Yeah. Because the meeting's gotta have meeting minutes anyway. The bot is the bot ain't gonna miss nothing. Cause I might daydream, I might go off, I might miss something important. The bot ain't gonna miss nothing. And like Michael said, it's gonna have even, like I can go there and there's a little small video clip, I can even hear it and see what you said.
So you can be out golfing.
I can be out golfing, yeah, and come back and look at that stuff, so yeah.
So what software do you use
On which one?
on your project?
We use Red Team. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. They were here too earlier.
Oh, Red? Dude, are you kidding me?
I'm not playing around.
This dude don't play. This dude do not play. That's what I'm talking about.
What other project management software you are using?
Well, Procore is one. A lot of people use Procore.
It's more expensive though.
Yeah.
What do you think is better?
I use Red Team because I think Red Team is better. And the reason why Red Team is better to me and to our company is because it's all in one. Procore, the accounting, you have to buy another module for the accounting to be able to, as much work and business we do, we use QuickBooks Online.
You still gotta use QuickBooks.
Red Team and QuickBooks, they integrate. If I create an invoice in Red Team, it immediately goes into QuickBooks. There's no double entry. See, that's part of what we want to do. We don't have to double entry nothing.
I use Procore, but I never did the financial.
Right, because it don't come with it.
Oh, that'll make sense.
Yeah, but Red Team, it comes with it. Processing submittals, it's in Red Team. With Procore, it's another peripheral. It's another piece, another module. So why do I have to? And that's how they make money. So they get you there, and then you got to pay. Oh, you want bread with your sandwich? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, you got to pay. You got to pay, baby. You got to pay for that now. you got. You want something to drink? Oh. Why didn't you tell me? So with Red Team, you get it all. Everything is all in there. So.
So you use Go or Flex for that?
What's that?
Go or Flex?
He's probably on Flex.
Yeah, Flex. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were talking about creating a box on how to hire.
Mm-hmm.
So you just base yours off the disk analysis on what you need.
No, so we do the first thing is, so I do personal interviews. So, but I'm the second interview. If you make it to me, so whoever department, if you're gonna be project management or working in all that, our senior project manager, we don't have a VPO, but senior project manager, he does the initial interview. If they're gonna be anywhere in that lineage, he does that interview. If they make it past him, then they come to me. When they make it to me, the first thing is I have that personal one-on-one interview, and it's going to be a Zoom or something like that. And then after that, if you make it past that, then I send you a link for the disc. After that, I want 3 references. The first reference is I need a boss. I need somebody that you've worked for, and I need a coworker, and then I need someone else that knows you personally. And I don't outsource the references. Every reference I call, and I spend the time, and the first thing I tell them is I say, listen, I need you to pretend you me. Like, I'm getting ready to invest potentially in hiring this person. And so anything that you say is confidential, but I need you to be honest, frank, and open with me. And I ask the questions, and I do the same thing with interview. I want to know, tell me that last job that you're not working at. Why are you not working there? What happened? Like, I get really, really gritty in the interviews. And sometimes it gets people, they be like, what, you really getting real deep here. But I just want to know. Because I want to know what you're going to do when I do the same thing. Yeah, because chances are that might happen again. You know? So I just had somebody, person who's potentially getting ready to hire. This person was telling me that the boss was bad boss or something and whatever. And she was like, and I told him I'm going to go to the newspaper on him. I was like, oh, you know you ain't getting ready to get hired. Oh, this is it. Yeah, you talking about, I know you. Yeah, Karen, yeah, I know you. Yeah, you will not be going to the newspaper on me, right? So, yeah, so we get real gritty with that. And likewise, get real gritty with those references. And then after they get through the references, then we do a background check. Then if the drug testing, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. If it's superintendent, people in the field, we do the drug test. But most people, office staff, we don't really do drug tests. And then after that, we send a formal written offer. And we ask for feedback. If you accept the offer, you just sign it, and then we'll talk about the onboarding, which we have a whole onboarding process too, that just like I talked about, you know, SOP. So we have a step by step, but it's in a task. So I use Microsoft To Do. That's the shared to do list that we use, Microsoft To Do. And Microsoft To Do is you can share that to do with everybody. And it's literally, and so we developed step-by-step processes for just about everything that we do that's in a to-do list, that's in a templated to do, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So so hiring is one of those. It's, you know, first interview, send the disc. So I don't have to think. My mind I don't have to be trying to figure out what's next. It's right there. And when they pass that, I just go to the to-do and I check it off. And so it automatically pops up with the next thing. So all I gotta do is just literally, I'm just going by what's the next thing. And so make the offer. If they don't like the offer, they want to, whatever, make some comments, they come back, and then we talk about it, and we try to find a happy median. If we can't, then, oh well, you know. But if we can, then, you know, we hire them. Yes.
So I did not realize, Frank, we have the same exact process. Like, we do the same process. So everything you get, as well as far as understanding that whole process, what we call process map, checklist, it's all the same, right? We do the exact same procedure, like identical. So this is great. I know, and I think when she mentioned box, that's a term Scott used yesterday. So what he was talking about is kind of a hybrid of taking a job description and taking the idea or expectation of what you need and putting it together in a person and say, this is the box and I'm looking for this. So the old way was to say, okay, I need a project manager and I have a job description and I have all these items or tasks that the project manager would do. But oftentimes the old way, we forget about, well, what type of personality should that project manager have, specifically with the type of clients I have. Right. Maybe what are some of the nuances with me as a boss? What is it like to work with the caveman? He don't talk much, right? So if you have to work with someone like me, everybody can't work with me. So now how do I better identify the right employee to not only be a project manager, work with my clients, but also work with me? So now I create that and place it into this box, and I'm looking for that. So that's kind of a little bit it was powerful. I'm talking about Scott came in here. I told him, I said, y'all don't know what you just experienced.
I'm telling you, what you say?
It was so good. I'll send you the recording.
Yeah, please.
But it was so powerful. So that's kind of what Scott was kind of referring to. And so since Willa, you in the program, so we got you. All right. So yeah, it's really good. Anybody else have questions? You have another question? Go ahead.
So when you say you're everywhere, do you relocate your team when you find a team where? So I'm assuming you go out of state. But how do you?
Yeah. So we have some people that are traveling superintendents, and that's all they do. They're going to travel. Most of those are retail superintendents. So retail clients, they're going to fast food chains or whatever. They could be anywhere. And so those superintendents, you learn the systems for that company. So we have certain superintendents that this is what they do, and they learn the processes for them. And so they just go wherever that, and we build that into the budget. So we use Airbnb. So like we're sending some superintendents to down south. They already know. I just talked to them yesterday. I said, okay, your next job. It was like, okay, Frank, can we have about a week off? Yep, sure. Because it's 5 talent. You ain't got any ass. Just, but they go down south and already send email saying, yep, get the Airbnb. And so we will send them. But if we go into an area and we don't have, let's just say we have 5 traveling superintendents. Well, we got a 6th job. And we'll ask one of our other superintendents. So we have a superintendent like Port St. Lucie, and we're like, hey, we got a project in Georgia. And he's not a traveling superintendent, but we'll pay you extra. It's going to be about a 6-month job. Will you do it? And he was like, nah, I asked my wife, okay, how much money you pay me? I can't go. So guess what we got to do? We got to find somebody there. So that's what we'll do. We got she's actually a business development person, but she also wears the HR hat too, because she's got the I personality. So we just say, okay, you're going to Georgia and you're going to find us a superintendent. And so she'll go and, we'll put the ad out first, and then she'll interview people and she'll do all that. And so, yeah. Yeah, we find subs in that area. That's her role too. She's the Pied Piper. We said laugh, because like for subcontractor outreach, that's her thing. Like she just get when she see a room full of people, she's like, oh, how are you doing? How's your mom? You don't even know this person's mom. But she has that personality that just people are attracted to her. So she can get people to come to the outreaches and things like that. So we got a project in an area and we're trying to get people. She'll go down, go to the whatever office that has the MWBE. She'll go and meet that person. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna love her. They're gonna share their list. She's gonna send it back to Chris. Chris is gonna put it in, and Chris is the person who's just loves paperwork. So you just give it to Chris, because don't give it to her, because she ain't gonna like that. You're gonna really pull her down if you want her to data entry all these people. So give it to Chris. Chris loves that. Chris will put it all in, and then she'll say, hey, did you send that out? Yep. And so then she'll just kind of be that person and just doing the outreach. and we'll sit down one-on-one, and then I will go and I will have, like, we'll identify, like, if site work, framing, whatever those key subs are, I'll say you line them up to people that I definitely need to go and talk to. And so I'll go and have lunch with these people, subcontractors, and introduce myself and talk about partnerships and what can we do to help you and all that kind of stuff. But that keeps my time strategic in those moments where she can spend a lot more time kind of vetting out people. So.
I have a question, sorry.
Good. Yeah.
So when you say you outsource your estimating or your scheduling,
Mhm.
wherever they are,
Mhm.
how much does that cost you to do the scheduling and estimating?
Actually $25 for schedule. That's $25 a week is what I'm paying for schedule. And that's just to keep that schedule going. I'm paying $100 for you to initially put that schedule in. So to build a schedule is going to be about $100. And this is a person who can read plans. They can go through the plans, look at the whole plans, all of that, and develop a schedule. Because we have baseline schedules that pretty much, same, you're going to pour concrete, you're going to do this. So you have a baseline, but there's some uniques to the project. So we take that templated schedule and she'll develop it make it unique to that project. She'll communicate, send an email to the subcontractors and verify durations. So if the duration is, like, we put 12 days in there and this sub's like, no, we got a longer lead time than that. They'll communicate directly with her. That's unbeknownst to me. So she's handling all of that because that's all she does. All she does is schedules. That's it.
Okay, then my last question, when you call out your people, what's your turnover rate? Do they feel like some type of way?
We have how do you say that?
Low.
Low, thank you. We have a very low turnover rate. Very low. Cause I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but like with that level of freelance ability that you can just pretty much, the only thing you gotta do is show up at a weekly meeting and make sure that you're accountable for what you say you're gonna do. But aside from that, and you already know how much you're gonna get paid. It's just a matter of, Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So. You sure?
Y'all better get them in now. Y'all talking about, I wanted to ask Scott something and they didn't ask him.
The estimate. What do you average cost-wise for the freelance?
My guess is, I shouldn't guess. I can look at it. I have all the estimates on a shared. That's what we use with estimators. We use a shared Google sheet. Most estimates we're paying about. So we have small estimates, medium-sized estimates, and large estimates. So yeah, the size of the job. So the large estimates we're going to pay $900 for a large. That's like a very detailed estimate. So maybe $2 million job, somewhere in that range. If it's like anywhere from $1 million to $500,000, that's a medium-sized project. We're going to pay $350 to $500. Per estimate. Per estimate.
Y'all be looking at 20 jobs a week.
Yeah, so we have to produce 4 estimates a week. That's our metric. I don't know if I said metrics. Did I talk about metrics? Yeah. So we have a scorecard that we have how many leads a week. So we have 4 leads a week that we have to, out of those 4 leads a week, we have to produce 4 estimates a week. So we average about five leads a week. That's either through, and we have them broken down, BPP bid publication that one of our business development person is constantly looking for projects, and they put them on the list, projects that fit what we're looking for. And then you have word of mouth where people just word of mouth, they call and they go on the list. And so our goal is 4, we're averaging about 5. And then of those 5, we're going to be producing about 4 estimates a week. And estimates are different. We have different levels of different types of estimates. So some of them are pre-construction proposals. A large part of what we do. Yes. That, in other words, we do design build. So a large part of our, I'm gonna backtrack a half a second here. One of the things that we realize is that this was years ago. We're looking in that was when what was that report? Anyway, it was, gosh, what was it? But anyway, you know how what are the publications that I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but as we're out looking for project leads, when we got a lead, by the time that we called them, we realized they already had a contractor. And we were like, how did they get a contract and the project just got released? Well, it came from referrals from the architects. So the architects would get the lead, because most people, when they want to build something, they go to the architect first because they want to design. So we said, we got to figure out how to get where they at. So that's when we started doing our own design. So we've been doing it so long now that people, the first step, they'll come, a lot of our word of mouth, they come to us, and we ain't letting you go nowhere. We're handling all of that. Like, we handling.
Did I say this today? Did I say this today?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm just gonna leave for the.
Yeah, we ain't letting you go nowhere. We have 4 architects, but we have in-house designers. So we got 6 in-house designers.
So these are your architects.
4 architects that are architects. They're architects that they do work for other people, but because we bring them so much work, they're on that Monday 1 o'clock call. Yeah, they're Monday at 1 o'clock. We have a design meeting, and that design meeting, every architect that we're working with, they're gonna be on that call, and they're multitasking. They have their screens off their work, and they're waiting for their project to be called up. And so I say, okay, we're getting into this project. Now they chime in. I say, okay, where are we with the design? Where are we with this? Where are we with this? What are you doing there? What blah, 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 blah. And that's it. And then when they finish, they say, can we do our next project next so we can get off? Yeah, and we do that. And so, but there are architectural firms that they do stuff, but we have such a huge pipeline of design build projects that the architects are going to wait for their project to come up, and they're going to be there every Monday at 1 o'clock to go over that. And then at 9 o'clock, we have our in-house design meeting every Monday. So those are just our in-house designers that we're working on various stages of a design. So my point is, but this all started because we realized that by the time we heard about the project, they already got a contractor.
So they're heard of the project before the plan.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna blow up.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
I'm thinking that she was asking, the project shall be all over.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all in a spot, little country spot or whatever, and they don't have quality electricians there or MEP, plumbing site,
Yeah.
whatever, what do y'all do?
So the first thing we do is generally when we go, like we had a project in Texas. So what we generally do is find out if there's a smaller minority contractor in the area that we can partner with. So that's one of the first things that we'll do. We'll go and ask, hey, is there a minority contractor around that's, doing good work or whatever, and we'll go get that guy. In fact, one of those guys ended up licensing our company in the other states because we didn't have the licenses, but he just happened to have the licenses in other, but he was a smaller contractor, but we ended up partnering with him, and now he has a great job right now because he just gets checks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but we'll go into that area and find contractor in that area, and we'll partner with him, and we'll say, okay, turn us on to the low, and he'll bring his subcontractors with him. He has a lot of guys that he's already doing the odds and ends, and he feels like, hey, this is a great opportunity, and I can partner with this larger company, and I could do some other stuff. If we can't do that, then we'll pay our subs, our key subs, to go and do. Now, we have in-house people who can do electrical and roofing. So if we got to do the electric, we have a company that licenses us for electric and licenses us for plumbing. I mean, not for plumbing, but for roofing. So we could do it ourselves if we had at least those. We could do it ourselves if we had to. If that makes sense. If we can't find anybody locally, we'll take care of it ourselves. But the bottom line is that client, they don't want to. You just got to take care of that client. So you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, no, not that. I don't even know about that.
Yeah, right.
Y'all never had a problem in your out-of-state project?
Of what? What would be the problem?
Finding quality subs, to do the scope of work.
You got to try to. It takes a little work to find them, but you're gonna get them. And part of the issue is like everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay, so your superintendent, if you have a passive superintendent, you're gonna be in trouble. So if you got a passive superintendent who's doesn't take care of his quality control, that's one of the things that we're working on right now is our quality control standards. Like I'm about to ask Michael, because like we still have not found a templated set of specifications for quality control checklists. I know we did it at UF.
You got to create your own.
You got to create your own. See, that's yeah.
I had got certification through Army Corps Engineers, and even their stuff very similar, right? You got to still check the spec, go through all that stuff. But what if you don't have a spec?
Right.
So I think just history, best practices, lessons learned, create your own.
I've been trying not to have to do that. It's like I'm like, we gotta have it.
Yeah.
We gotta have it.
And it's getting worse because industry standards are diminishing.
Yes.
So if you're starting to work with specific clients and specific owners that have a high expectation, like you all know, Disney was here yesterday.
Yeah.
And
dude, you got everybody over here. Oh my gosh.
Help them see the light, my brother. Help them see the light.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really the way. It's just documenting it, keeping it in-house, and from there everything will be really what it needs to be. So it just needs spend some time putting it together.
Yeah, so your question is the quality subcontractors. So sometimes you may have to settle for what you can get. And we've had to do that. We've had to settle for what we can get. And it requires more management. So
They match the standards as far as work.
So one of the other things we do, and I didn't say this. I think I said this in the podcast, but we have a risk management program that we did. We started this years back. So every project that we do, the first thing, we have 5 areas that we look at risk. We look at the owner, what's unique about this owner, and we ask ourselves the question, what's the worst possible thing we can do with this owner? Yeah, make them, but also personality wise. You're thinking about the owner's representative, because at the end of the day, that owner's representative that you're working with either gonna make you or break you. Depending on how you service them, you gotta know, are they DIS or C? You gotta be able to figure that out. And then you gotta, like I said, when I'm in your office, I'm looking around because I'm gonna get you something. I'm gonna give back to you what you already like. So when we're looking at this client, we're trying to figure out what type of superintendent, whatever works. That's one of the risks. We look at the owner. The other one's architect. Have we ever worked with this architect before? What kind of architect is it? We look at the scope of work. Is the scope difficult? Is it easier? Whatever. We look at location. Where's this job? Is it in Timbuktu, where ain't no resources available? Whatever. And then the fifth one is subcontractors. What is the subcontractors that we're working with? So when we look at the subcontractors, we're saying, hey, we had to settle for this guy. This guy doesn't have the experience. He's really a do-it-yourselfer or whatever. You know, I'm just speaking figuratively. And he's a risk. Well, then we ask, what's the worst thing can happen with this guy? Well, they said, well, we got him doing concrete. Suppose he don't do this. Suppose he don't do that. While he's doing that, we're documenting the suppose he don't do. So guess what becomes our QC, QA, QC? Those items. So those are the things that we say, okay, Mr. Superintendent, when you get to this, remember, this is your risk assessment. This is the risk mitigation plan. Make sure, if don't nothing else, like stuff happens, but none of these things better happen. Like some might catch us off guard, but it better not be one of these. Does that make sense? So you kind of having to deal with what you got, but you've already, most mistakes are predictable. There's a book called The Checklist Manifesto. Great book, but it talked about the reduction of airplane crashes. How did they reduce the number of airplane crashes? Checklists. You hear when you get in a plane, they say, all systems check. There's no check. Check. Because there's certain things that's why they're going over all of this stuff with you. There's a checklist. Same thing with how they brought down the mortality rate or whatever in healthcare operations. Every surgery, they now have a checklist of things that we got. Is the anesthesiologist here? Did this person check this? Did they check that? Whatever. So you can reduce the number of errors because most of them are predictable if you just do one thing. Step forward and identify what's predictable. Like there are people here that's one of my mantras. I learned that from an attorney a long time ago. I was going and he kept saying, he said, Frank, just go with what's predictable. And the first time he said it, I was like, okay. He kept talking, kind of, and then we got to something else. And he said, Frank, you have to go with what's predictable. And after that, I was like, he's right. Most of this stuff you can predict. Like if you give me point A and point B, I can probably, with reasonable certainty, predict C. So if I got this sub who ain't never did this before, and I'm giving him something that he got to do for the first time, that's point A, that's point B. What's going to happen with point C? He going to do it again. Or if you don't give him some guidance, if you don't watch him. So going what's predictable, he going to screw up if we don't make sure that we hold his hand and we walk through him. And you might be a big picture guy. I call it being an egghead. I got a PowerPoint that I share, and I got a guy sitting at the desk, and he's got an egghead. And people hear that like they come. I say, you got to be an egghead. Like I'm usually a big picture guy. Like I'm like, it's close enough, because my personality is a D. So D, I may not get into details. I just want to know what the bottom line. Like don't come in here spinning all this yarn to me. Just tell me the bottom line, so I can move on. But there's sometimes, depending on the risk, I want to hear all the details. And that's an egghead. And I said, sometimes you have to be obnoxiously an egghead and you have to ask the obvious. Like, even though you already know, you got to ask it. And that's being egghead. So when it comes down to that risk for that superintendent, you need to be an egghead. Like normally if it's close enough, this ain't going to be close enough. You're going to have to be Johnny on the spot on this. If it's an out-of-towner, and the other thing that's big nowadays is people don't pay their subs. Their suppliers. So those notice to owner are crazy important. We got a t-shirt, got a trophy, got awards, all that from getting a situation and you paid this guy too much money and he didn't pay the people downstream. And as the GC, as the guy see him, if he don't pay him, you got to pay him. And I can tell you, we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our profit to pay because they didn't pay their people. So that's one thing we're going to be eggheads about. And so if this guy is running funny on money while he's working for us, our people know those are red flags. He's probably not going to pay his subs. So we need to make sure that we stay in his pocket and not him in ours. We need to be slightly in his pocket. And when we start getting to the end of the job, we might have to do joint checks.
Been there, done that. So just with that piece, Rico, and we're kind of wrapping up now. The other way to deal with it is with your subcontract. Your subcontracts will stipulate how you're able to handle those types of situations. So if they default in some type of way, they can default through quality, they can default through not keeping up with schedule, they can default through not paying. There's all type of clauses you can make sure it's in your subcontract, so you can provide whatever notices. If they don't comply, you supplement them, and that's coming out of their money.
That's right.
So that's why it's important to have the right subcontract.
We have a thing that we learned this from an attorney about don't terminate a contract. Michael used the word supplement. So we exercise our right to supplement your workforce. So in other words, we're not terminating your contract to let you off the hook, but we're exercising our rights to help you get this job done. And so now I can bring somebody else in, but it's still your dime. And you're still technically under contract with us. Yeah. So.
All right, y'all clap it up for Frank, y'all.
Who you got coming next?
That's it, man. It's a
I'm
wrap.
about ready to sit down. I ain't no telling who we gonna have walking up in this thing.
Oh man, thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, take a real quick picture since we already here.